with Chippendale.
Thank you, Speaker. And I do want to say that I'm relieved to learn that those 4 FTEs were employers, because as the joke goes, what do you call 4 lawyers out of a job? Right? It's a good start, right? Sorry about that one. So, back on the amendment, we cannot find social caseworkers, we heard. And they'll go into the job, and in their 6-month probationary period, they will determine that this job's not for me. Because when you go into a job where you have 30 times the workload as your counterparts in other states, and you see a 70% understaffed front line, you won't see any hope in being able to accomplish your goals as a social worker. People go into that line of work out of love for the craft, for the art. And there's no better place to practice that art and craft than in the service of children. They don't just wake up and say, this job's not for me, because they don't like the job. They say it because they feel hopeless. And if I can make an amalgam of the things I've heard from these social caseworkers, some of the things that go through their heads at night are, did I forget this to check in on this kid? Did I forget to make sure this kid was brought to this appointment? Did I ever get the phone call back from this doctor? These are the things that go through their head instead of sleep, because they love their job so much. It's interesting, you know, I always used to do exit interviews with employees who were willing to do so. And I sort of did one with, and I don't want to go too far out of school on this, but with one of our outgoing directors of DCYF, literally on her way to catch a plane to another state. And yes, I was told we will not find a replacement for that job. There's no one out there who's willing to come to this state. And it's known all across the country, the state of our child welfare agency. There is no one willing to subject themselves to what a director of that agency currently is subjected to. Understaffing, underfunding, and then being thrown under the bus by the governor when babies die. That's the state of affairs at DCYF. We also, and this is directly from the administration, and we could just roll some footage from oversight to see this. The Medicaid reimbursement rate in Rhode Island is anemic compared to our neighbors of Mass and Connecticut. And Representative Newberry alluded to this. They do cross over the line. I mean, I'm in Foster. They hop right over the line into Connecticut. If you're a CNA, you're going to make $2, $3, $4, $5 more an hour if you go over to Connecticut or Massachusetts. Drive another 10 minutes. The same premise applies in DCYF. It applies across all of our child welfare entities. And yes, the acting director, Aucoin, is a workhorse. His resume is unimpeachable, I agree. And it's due to his workhorse nature and his relentless pursuit of getting things done that he finds himself in that job. Because they know he wouldn't say no, and they know he would hold the line, and he is. But we can't hold the line. Do you want to attract new social caseworkers? Then pass this amendment, because they'll look at it and they'll say, all right, there are approximately 40, pick a number, whatever one works, unfilled positions in this agency. That gives me hope that there is a chance that this agency will be able to do its job. That will in and of itself attract or have a greater effect on attracting talent to work as social caseworkers and as supervisors and CSTs, because they'll have hope. They've allotted for this many positions. Yes, we're struggling, but we're going to find them over time. When even at that level, we still are 90 short of accreditation. So the accreditation process dictates a level so much higher than even this amendment proposes. We can't defeat this amendment and then say, well, we're doing that because we can't attract the talent. It's actually the inverse. We can't attract the talent because we don't support that agency as a body and as a state. There's no evidence. No one can point to a single thing other than the outstanding work of the child advocate to expose a lot of what goes on behind closed doors. You can't point to very many successes. And if you talk to the social caseworkers, they're very humble. They know what they're up against, and they're burning out. This, straight out of the words of one of their mouths, the loss, another loss in that department of any employees will be the straw that breaks the back. And if we think not being able to retain probies after 6 months is a problem, when we start losing our social caseworkers with 8 to 10 years of experience, which right now is actually the more tenured social caseworker, whereas before it would be 15, 20 years in that job. They're not lasting that long. Why? We don't support them. We give them an impossible charge that they cannot possibly fulfill with the tools that we put in their hands. It's not possible. $2.6 million, folks, out of $12.8 billion. And I don't want to hear anyone talk about how sad the next child advocate report is when we're talking about dead children. I don't want to hear anyone feign outrage if they vote no on this amendment.